we have an earthquake striking here, and let me show you what's going on. Okay, all right. See Chattanooga here, right? See the
It's
edge
not a
of the
volcano.
craton here. Let me turn off the.
It's a plunging fold. The Vulcan Mining Company is a multinational company. It's actually pretty large. It's a Vulcan Materials Corporation actually. Yeah, yep, here it is. So no, it has nothing to do with volcanoes, and that is not a volcano.
And so you see this formation here. This is the volcano.
Yeah, no, a round mountain does not mean it's volcanic.
And this is a mine on the side of the volcano. You can even make out the old volcanic.
That's all sedimentary rock, and rock that's roughly dark in color does not mean it's volcanic. It could be shale. Shale usually has a dark color to it.
Rock and the nature of that, the gray ash that probably compacted over time there. And it's on the edge of the craton. So there's a
The craton is completely meaningless in this situation.
earthquake. Now, why is there an earthquake striking there now? Why is there a volcano there now? Well, look
there
at
isn't.
the bend. See this? Okay. We really have to back this out, and let me turn this off and bring it back to current imagery. Let's turn off all my place marks, and you'll only see the craton.
I don't see the craton. I see a bunch of rocks. I see a bunch of mountains and trees and a river. I don't see the craton because because I can't see through thousands of feet of sedimentary rock. So I actually can't see the craton. The only part of this continent where we can see the craton is up in the Canadian Shield. And which part of the craton is it? Is it the Grenville province? Is it the Yavapai-Matsuzo province? The Pinocchian province? Superior province? Trans-Hudson province? Wyoming province? The craton is pretty complex.
It makes a bend. See the bend right here? And we can go into the center and you'll find more volcanic formations.
More volcanic formations. Wow, I didn't know volcanoes could be made of sedimentary rock. Wow, that's interesting. Actually, no, those are not volcanoes. All those are plunging folds. That's very well understood. And most of these are probably made out of limestone, shale, sandstone. So unless volcanoes are erupting mud and coral and sand, I don't think these are volcanoes. Yeah, they're circular shape because they're plunging folds. It's so the concept of a plunging fold has been well understood since like the early 1900s. They can exist on very small scales, like in this rock, or they can exist on huge scales. So, like they can exist on massive scales. The concept of a fold is pretty well understood, as is the concept of a craton. In the rocks of all these provinces, we can see them in seismic tomography surveys. We can see the faults associated with initial rifting of the Iapetus Ocean. You can see all that, and here's a whole textbook. That's all about the Grenville orogeny. Let's see, it's very thick too. Let's see, it's 800 pages.
All right, so let's recap. Big stack of earthquakes there in the middle of an ancient supervolcano that got missed by the professional.
Really? It was missed by the professionals. Are you sure about that? Because right here, let's see, I happen to have some articles on this exact area showing, let's see, geologic map. Let's see, it's part of the Walker Lane fault system, which accommodates strain along the San and Reyes, and the mountains in there are a bunch of normal faults. So yeah, there's a lot of faults through there, and actually this whole area is understood pretty well. Here's a bunch of maps and kinematics of the same area. Here's another article on this on the area, and yeah, so that's not a super volcano. It's just a roughly circular area that he thinks is a super volcano, but isn't. It just happens to be circular shaped. In fact, if you look at these mountains, there's a lot of circular shapes throughout these mountains. So that means that all of these are super volcanoes? Us geologists understand exactly what a supervolcano is.
that it was a volcano. And then you come out and tell,
I mean, that's because it's not a volcano.
and I posted the books from the 1950s and 60s that identified the tuftage. And they came back with and said, the tuftage, well, that must have formed down when this was underwater. To call it a volcano is not doing it justice, or some shit like that. Okay. Now, I also am seeing something.
Yeah, it's because it's not a volcano, and it's just, and first of all, I don't think tuftage is even a word, but books in the 50s and 60s probably will not be very accurate. In reality, it's actually an ophiolite sequence. And an ophiolite sequence is a sequence of marine floor sediments, the sedimentary rock and lava. And so yes, it has lava in it, but the presence of lava does not mean it's a volcano. It's uplifted along thrust faults. And actually, here's a fairly recent article about the same thing, about this same mountain, and talking about it, and provides a geologic map of the area, and also provides a cross section of the mountain, showing the thrust faults and showing the anticline. And yes, no, and it's not a volcano. It's an ophiolite sequence. It's and in the 50s, we didn't really fully understand exactly what an ophiolite sequence was until we understood more on plate tectonics.